Ajay Chitnis to introduce our guest speaker, please.
Thank you, President. Uh, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to RCPC and Dr. Suresh Jadhav, Executive Director of Serum Institute of India. Special welcome to you. Thank you all the more, Dr. Jadhav, for coming and for agreeing to come despite the tragic fire that has taken place at your institute a couple of days ago. We all extend our heartfelt condolences to the families of the bereaved families of the people who passed away. And though I felt a little odd asking you whether you will still come or not, I had to do it. So if you pardon my rudeness for doing so and accepting it, thank you very much, Dr. Jadhav. Dr. Jadhav is a veteran in the field with 48 years of technical expertise. Our club members would have already read his biosketch, which was circulated in the bulletin as also in our program announcement. And all of you would agree with me that rather than me speaking about him, let his work speak about him, and we are all keen to hear about him. For the others who've not read the biosketch, I can tell you that we could not have had a more suitable person to speak to us and narrate to us the Covishield story. So without any further ado, it is over to you, Dr. Jadhav, for the Covishield story. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rotarian Ajay, and in fact, both the Ajay. And my special thanks to Rotarian Ibechani, because it was he with whom I just spoke about a month back for a different reason. And he immediately, couple of days, came back to me asking that, please, can you speak with our club? And I said, okay, I will do that. I think the Covishield story, instead of calling it Covishield story, let us call it a, I will say, COVID vaccine story, because Covishield is a brand name for one of the first products that Serum is manufacturing. And before I think I go and start anything, I would like to just narrate a couple of things. That I think the whole mankind has been facing these pandemics, not today, but for the last several centuries. It started somewhere, the record that is available in the history books dates back to almost about 300 BC. And since then, various pandemics have been hit. But one of the greatest pandemic that people have seen in reality was the 1918 Spanish flu, which has affected almost about 500 million people at that time and more than 50 million deaths. Of course, that happened in this 1920, means in the almost 20th century. But if you see the history, which is a known history of making the vaccine, that dates back to almost about 1700. It was right in 1726 when initially the cowpox vaccine was accidentally invented. And then it was used in the human being, which started in 1796, when Jenner actually made a vaccine and he immunized the people in Europe. And it has shown such tremendous effect on the mankind that the first vaccine which was developed for a disease, that is smallpox, that whole disease has been eradicated, and WHO has certified the world free from smallpox vaccine from 1979. India itself has eradicated smallpox in 1977. After that, if you see the history of last about 20 years, again, we have faced several, I will not call pandemic, but endemic type of situation. We had seen SARS, we had seen MERS, we had seen Nipah, we had seen dengue, we had seen H1N1, that is the influenza vaccine. For most of the vaccine and the diseases which has struck in the recent past, there were no vaccines actually existing at that time. In fact, about 5 years back, when there was a outbreak of Ebola in Africa, the vaccine was not existing, although people are working on Ebola vaccine for last almost 50 years. But still the vaccine was not available because again, the strain changes and the scientists don't know whether the vaccine that they will be preparing will work on that particular strain, which is causing the actual disease. But 5 years back, when the Ebola struck in DRC, the Democratic Republic of Africa, there was a vaccine which was developed by a Canadian company, which was then taken over by Merck, which was just in phase 1 completed and entering into phase 2. But looking into the effect of that vaccine and the safety that it has demonstrated in the phase 1, the vaccine was used in Africa by doing the ring vaccination. So if there was an outbreak in one particular village, they will just demarcate an area of about 1 or 2 kilometers away from that, make a circle and immunize every person in that area. And that's how they contained the Ebola in Africa. We have also seen, I think, the SARS and MERS, and vaccine was also developed, but for whatever reason, and for good for us, both these diseases, they vanished. SARS was the South Asian syndrome and MERS was Middle East respiratory syndrome. But both those diseases were due to the coronavirus. In fact, the influenza or the cold and cough that we get is basically, it is a virus which belongs to the corona family. However, when this corona struck first time last year, that was somewhere in, they say it was in September, some say in October 2019 in Wuhan, this was totally new virus. And the havoc that it caused in that particular city was very damaging. It was causing pneumonia, it was causing lung infection, and no existing drugs were actually effective on those side effects. And that's why WHO then named it as N-corona, that is the new coronavirus. And then they started working on that. I think before I proceed further, I think those of you who are aware of Serum Institute, pardon me for repeating a few things, but those who are not, I would just like to tell you that this company was established in 1966. Today, we are making almost about 1.6 billion doses and supplying globally to almost more than 170 countries. And almost 65% children of the world, which are born every year, are getting at least 1, if not 9, different vaccines which are manufactured by Serum Institute. And the vaccines which has been manufactured by us have resulted in total eradication of meningitis A in sub-Saharan Africa. It has prevented more than 24 million deaths due to the measles. Rubella has been completely eradicated in Pan-American countries, that is in South America. More than 90% of the BCG vaccine which is used globally is currently supplied by Serum Institute alone. Again, just to give you a little idea that when we say it is a pandemic, how does it start? So the first stage is the endemic, means we call it that certain areas are endemic, don't go there because some diseases could be existing. It's like going to Africa and people will say there is malaria or there is yellow fever. Going to Brazil, people will say take care, there may be some yellow fever. So take vaccine and then only go to Brazil. But then the number of cases increase, the definition changes and they call it epidemic. So we have heard about, I think when we were small, that there used to be epidemics of cholera and typhoid or even plague, even in India. And when this epidemic spreads to in all the 5 continents, then they call it as a pandemic. And that's precisely what happened with the COVID. That in India, I think we saw the first case in January, but by March, it had spread substantially in almost all the states in India. And by April, it had actually spread all over the world in almost about 193 countries. So that's why it was called pandemic. This is, I already talked to you that there is a history of different uh, diseases of the pandemics and the examples and how many people have actually perished in this. But the best thing is that the vaccines which were developed for those diseases have worked and the pandemics were contained. And today there is a situation that for last almost about 25 years, WHO is fearing that there is a possibility of this Spanish flu type pandemic coming back again. So what has come in 1918 may come back and hit the human beings once more. And there is no vaccine available because the bird flu, what we have read in last 15 days, that there has been outbreak of bird flu in India. People have stopped eating chickens and the birds have been dying. Mostly that is seen in the poultry. And in last 15 years, there have been at least about 13 or 14 instances of small outbreaks of bird flu where the actual H5N1, which is a poultry disease, has been transmitted into the human beings. Almost 3,000 plus people have been affected. And the worst part is there has been almost about 67% mortality. Now you can imagine that in COVID, now we feel that the mortality is around 1.8 or maximum 2%, which is seen in different parts of the world. But if this mortality percentage goes to what the bird flu can cause, 68%, we will not be alive to take a vaccine because vaccine development itself takes months and years together. And there will be no population existing for giving that vaccine. So taking this vaccine and keeping it available was one of the prime target of WHO. And they were working on that so that all the multinational companies who are manufacturing influenza vaccines, either in Europe or in United States or in other developing countries like Canada, Australia, or Japan, they requested them to make a vaccine against H5N1, keep a stockpile so that in case it strikes, there is a vaccine available. But it is available only for the people from the developed world. It was not available for people in the developing world where the most vulnerable population resides. And then WHO took the initiative, contacted manufacturers from the developing world and requested them, please start working on it. Please develop new technologies and please request your governments to invest for buying the product. Because even if a manufacturer invests, and the product is ready, but if there is nobody to buy it, nobody want to invest in such a product, because if there is no return on investment, manufacturers will not invest their money into that. In developed world, every government every year buys certain 100 million doses of this vaccine, keep it with them, destroys it after it expires after 1 year, and replenishes it with the new stock. That's how the company survives. They keep making the vaccine and vaccine is available. Now, actually coming down to Corona, COVID, this is the history of various pandemics in India. The last outbreak in India, what we have seen was the Nipah in Kerala and some cases, few cases in Orissa, but then that was contained on its own. This is the global situation as on today with respect to the COVID. So where you see the yellow line, there the percentage of COVID mortality is very less. Today, this number have increased. There are more than 100 million cases of COVID now all over the world, and more than 2.15 million have perished. So it's a really serious situation. But again, I will say that fortunately, in last 20 years, what has happened was people have started working on the newer technologies because of this advancement of science, whether it is in biotechnology, immunology, microbiology, uh, and the new medical technologies. People have started working on different technologies, but they had never had a chance to use it to actually develop a product. Uh, Vaccines, as such, are known as today the most cost effective invention ever invented as a drug in the in the pharmaceutical industry. Cost effective for a reason, because most of the vaccines are taken only during the childhood or as a booster in your lifetime. You don't continue to take vaccine every year or every 5 years or every 10 years. And therefore, investment in that is the minimal, but the protection that it gives you for the diseases against which we are taking the vaccine, uh, that memory retains by your body. And in case you get a disease or an infection at a later date, your body knows how to protect itself. So normally the vaccine development technology has changed so much in last 20 years. Initially, there used to be the anti-sera or the toxide vaccines like our tetanus toxide, diphtheria toxide, or the live vaccines like the BCG vaccines. Then the new technology came, which is known as conjugate vaccines like Haemophilus influenza or pneumococcal vaccine, meningococcal vaccine. Then the cell culture vaccines like the viral vaccines, that is injectable poliovirus, OPV, measles, rubella, mumps. Then the recombinant technology came like hepatitis B vaccine, HPV vaccine. Then the technology came as a reverse vaccinology. Then the technology came for using different new adjuvants. Yeah. Then the structural vaccinology is now being explored. There is a synthetic biology. There is chimeric antigen receptor technology, and removing the brakes of anti-PDA and CTLM. This is more technical thing. I will not go into too much of details. But all these new technologies which have been developed in the last 20 years, that became available now. And when the COVID came, the situation is today there are 322 different laboratories who are working for developing COVID vaccine. And this is totally unprecedented. It never happened that more than 3-4 companies were developing a vaccine for any disease which you need to tackle. And normally when you consider the development of vaccine, you have to take into account certain things, that is what is the type of vaccine, whether it is bacterial, viral, recombinant, which strains are to be used, whether it is a single strain or multi-strain vaccine, whether it is a combination vaccine with different antigens put together. And what changed in this COVID-19 situation to reduce the timeline is the collaboration at a scale and level which one could never have thought before. Combined and integrated task force by government and regulatory agencies for quick information sharing, leveraging existing experimental vaccine platforms which reduce the cycle time by many years, support from government agencies to expedite the regulatory approval process without compromising the quality, and private companies have built a new infrastructure at record time, funding support from many organizations such as COVAX, Gavi, Gates Foundation, and CEPI, clinical development and process development and manufacturing scale-up, along with other required activities executed in parallel, that you didn't stop for one activity to finish till you go to the next one, and support from the regulatory agencies in all aspects of the clinical development. So this has now resulted into today, there are 41 vaccines which are in phase 1. There are 22 vaccines in phase 2. There are 20 vaccines in phase 3. 8 vaccines have got limited use licensing. 2 are approved for marketing. And 1 vaccine which was in phase 3 was abandoned in the development for some of the adverse events or adverse effects that was noticed. So today you will see that Pfizer and BioNTech, the original technologies from BioNTech, which has given it to Pfizer, and all also for Moderna. And this vaccine is now approved for emergency use in so many countries, right from UK, USA to Costa Rica and Ecuador. Moderna's vaccine is also licensed for in USA, EU, Israel, Canada, Switzerland, and UK. Serum Institute's vaccine, Covishield, is now approved for use in UK, India, Mexico, Argentina, Morocco, El Salvador, Dominican Republic, Bangladesh. And today I got a news that even in South Africa, it is approved. Bharat Biotech's Covaxin is approved for India. Sinopharm, China's vaccine is approved for use in China, Bahrain, Egypt, Jordan, and UAE. And similarly, the Gamaleya Institute, the Russian vaccine, Sputnik vaccine is also approved, except for India, which they may get their approval very soon. And CanSino Biologics, that is again from China, but this vaccine is approved only for use in the military. And Vectop, another company in Russia, that vaccine is again approved for use in Russia. This is the Indian dashboard as of today, that we started our cases, as I said, seeing the first case in January, which then picked up in May, June, and July, and then it has come down. Our death rate has also picked up maximum in June, July, and then now it has started coming down drastically. But if you see that we are lucky, because people in Europe and in South America and in United States, they are today having a very difficult situation. They had not only the second wave, but today Brazil is suffering from the third wave. So the number of cases have increased drastically, and number of mortality has also increased tremendously. So in India, the government had taken certain initiatives, right? Like the lockdowns, which started from 15th of March to 14th April in phase 1. Phase 2 lasted up to 3rd May. The phase 3 lasted up to 17th May. And phase 4 lasted up to 31st of May. And after unlocking, we have seen that there were several micro-containment zones along with the Arogya Setu app that was made compulsory for the people staying in that area, centralized database and the regular flow of COVID-19 patients, strict monitoring of diagnostic tests through ICMR in the beginning. Now they have made it open. Awareness campaigns for social distancing, wearing masks, personal hygiene, and immunity. Financially, formation of the COVID-19 Economic Response Task Force by the Finance Minister. Union Cabinet approved incentives worth almost 41,000 crores for electronic manufacturing. Various state governments announced financial assistance for the poor in the unorganized sector. 15,000 crores fund for healthcare sector from central government, and multiple state governments declare financial aids to various sectors. Now, what are the gaps and hurdles which were faced by the government? That they were the economic dangers versus the health risk, death by hunger or death by COVID. So disruptions of supply chain due to lockdown and interstate border closing, availability of the proper healthcare infrastructure at public hospitals, control or accessibility over private hospital network and information exchange, shortage of healthcare workers, migrant workers and labor force, center versus state tussles, and availability of antigen and RT-PCR testing kits available pan-India at affordable cost. So today in India, I have said that 2 vaccines are already licensed, but there are these other companies who are also developing the vaccine, and hopefully in the next, I think, shortest possible time, their vaccine will also be available, and they are Cadila Biological Evans, Panacea Biotech in Delhi, Indian Immunologicals, Mayanvax, Arbindo Pharma, Hyderabad, and Genoa, again from Pune company. And I must put on record that the government agencies like ICMR, the National Institute of Virology, CMC Vellore, IIT Indore, IICT Hyderabad, IISER Mohali, and IISER Trivandrum, they collaborated with various companies to develop the analytical tools as well as by giving them the strain, virus, and other information. This is only just to tell you that these are the different products which are now at are available in India, which are undergoing different tests, and they are in different phases. The first two have already received the EUL. Now you must be wondering, what is this EUL? The EUL is Emergency Use License. This is the first time Government of India has followed this particular route. This was followed in Europe for all European countries by the European regulators, and in United States for the drugs which are not licensed but which are found useful in their phase 1 or phase 2. And if they are life-saving, then the regulatory agencies were giving them emergency use licensing to use in those specific patients which were more prone to get that particular disease, particularly for the cancer patients or renal failure patients and other life-threatening situations. And till you get the regular marketing authorization, the products manufactured by this company, although they are used in a small section, they were not available for use by others.
Hello.
Okay. So this is, I think, what Government of India has done, that there is a plan for national vaccination, and they have put up an expert group, that is National Expert Group on Vaccine Administration, which was formed in August 2020. And it provides guidance on the prioritization of population groups, procurement and inventory management, vaccine selection, vaccine delivery and tracking mechanism. And in phase 1, the priority group, government has decided to immunize almost about 30 crore population, that is almost about 300 million people. That means they will require 600 million doses to immunize that population. And the beneficiary must complete vaccination schedule using the same vaccine product. Don't change the brand. Pre-registration is required. So you have to register yourself on the app, that is the CoVIN app. Goal is to protect people, minimize societal and economic impact by reducing the COVID-19 mortality, and the vaccination certificate after completion of vaccination. From 16 January onwards, in India, we have started the drive. And I was talking, I happened to speak with Mr. Jadhav, our union minister, today in the morning. And he said that the number that they have received in the government is almost about 1.5 million people have taken the vaccine till last night. Maybe that number has remained same or increased today, I don't know. But the fact remains that Serum Institute has already supplied 20 million doses of this product to Government of India. And out of 20 million, they have actually used only 1.5 million. So the use is not, I think, less than 10%. My worry is that if the vaccine is not used in sufficient time, there should not be wastage of this product. Unfortunately, in certain states, the vaccination was very good. Like yesterday in Maharashtra, they said that they have utilized almost about 89% of the vaccine. But in certain states, the utilization has gone down only 22%. That means that even the health workers, the doctors, the paramedics, they did not opt for vaccination. Because in the first phase, government has decided to vaccinate all the medical and paramedical people. And if medical people themselves are not coming forward to take the vaccine, it gives a very wrong signal for the other people for, about its use. This is what I have already explained, that you have to register on the COVID. So the next second round, which is coming in government, which they are planning as on today from first week of March, that the people who are 50 and above will be registered and getting that product. Government has already placed order for and already placed given us a comfort letter that they are going to buy another 45 million doses of this vaccine. Whether they have anticipated that all these people will come to them to take the vaccine, or people will wait till the vaccine is actually licensed and gets marketing authorization and available in the open market. So that is something which we need to wait and watch, because today the Union Health Secretary has made a statement: the vaccine will not be available in the market till the companies get the marketing authorization. So till such a time, neither the company is allowed to give it to anybody else other than the government agencies, neither it will be available for those who require it. And government agency, as on today, from the experience of last 1 week, is going much slower than anticipated. So we'll have to just wait and watch how this is going to unfold in next couple of months. So what was the impact of this COVID-19 on the society? That it has reduced tremendously the admissions in the OPDs. It has increased demand of the digital platform for doctor consultation. People now tend to go for at-home care settings across consultation, diagnostic, daycare service, and inpatient care. Loss of jobs have long-term socio-economical impact. The major impact on behavior pattern of children: online education system forced children at very early age to electronic gadgets. Effect on food and nutrition security. Work from home culture, which has decreased the physical activity due to long working hours, with electronic gadgets leading to obesity, back and neck pain, and other metabolic disorders. On psychological health, depression, domestic violence, child abuse, and post-traumatic stress disorders and substance abuse disorders. These are the, I will say, unexpected results of this pandemic, which not only India, but are being faced all over the world by general population. And other challenges which have been posed by the COVID-19 vaccines is to ensure the right people get the right vaccine at right time. Initial high demand of vaccine might develop risk of theft and corruption. There will be counterfeit vaccines which will be available in the market. Mass immunization, which is the right technology, methodology, whether it is right or wrong, that only time will tell. And equal distribution of vaccine to all parts of the world. Although for this particular thing, WHO, Gavi, and CP came together and formed a sort of small organization and called it COVAX facility. And under this COVAX facility, most of the countries became member of that COVAX facility. And the recent member only yesterday is United States, which Mr. Trump was refusing to join. So even all the developed countries and all developing countries are member of this. The original idea was the COVAX will buy the vaccine from all the manufacturers and distribute it equally to all the countries. But this has already been violated by all the manufacturers and all the governments. All the countries in Europe and in developed world, they had already contracted certain quantities of vaccine with the multinational companies, and they have procured that vaccine for their use. And therefore, although in practice or in philosophy it looks very good, but equal distribution of these products through a global agency has, at least till today, has not worked. My sincere wish, and I pray that it should work at least sometime in future. And the developed countries have already pre-booked large volume of vaccine doses. I know example of certain countries who have booked vaccine, which is the requirement of 4 times of their total population. So a small country in Europe with 15 million population have booked almost about 100 million doses. So there is I think, vaccine war which is going on. And fortunately, I think Government of India has decided that they are not allowing us to do the direct export. They are monitoring exports from the vaccine companies, and they are asking us to send how much doses to which country as on today. Maybe I think once the vaccine availability increases, they may give us the permission to do our bilateral supplies. But we have already contracted with the Gavi to supply them 100 million doses manufactured by AstraZeneca and 100 million doses with our new candidate vaccine, which is now in phase 3, which is a collaboration with a Novavax. So that 100 million we have to supply to Gavi. And our CEO has already committed that whatever we manufacture, 50% we will reserve for India and 50% we will make it available for the COVAX for the other countries. Thank you. So if you have any additional questions or any specific questions, I'll be happy to give answers for that.
There have been a lot of questions on the chat thing, so they'll be put to you one by one.
Okay.
Yeah. So thanks, Dr. Jadhav. I think that was a very enlightening, story about how the India is coming up and, in the entire COVID thing. So first question is from Abichani. So when will SII furnish stage 3 data and get approval for sale? Any
Yeah, I think we are planning to submit the complete phase 3 data in the third week of February. And we expect that by first or second week of March, we should get our approval for marketing authorization.
Thank you. So another question from Ramesh Sachdev. So if a person has a BP and is also on blood thinner like Plavix or Anisic, is the person expected to stop taking these medicine? If so, how many days pre and post vaccination date?
No need to stop any medicine. You can take the vaccine. Only you have to inform your doctor that you are taking a blood thinner, because at the end of the day, the vaccine is a prick. The needle goes inside. So you have to hold your cotton for a little longer time to stop the bleeding. That's all. Otherwise, there is no restriction on that.
Oh, thank you. So another question from Ramesh. Is alcohol drinking allowed or has to be stopped? If yes, how many days pre and post vaccination? And also what the health condition under which vaccination should be avoided?
So, I think from what I have gathered from the clinical trial, which was done on almost about 50,000 people in South Africa, Brazil, United States, and UK, and in India, people have continued to take their 1 or 2 chotas or big, whatever, and there was no effect on their response to the vaccine.
Okay. Any health condition under which vaccination should be avoided?
I think the vaccination has not been tried, or the clinical trial, there were no pregnant mothers because they are not allowed. So usually if you know that you are pregnant, you should not use it. Similarly, the vaccine has not been tried below the 18 years of age. So below 18 years also, you should not give it. So it is only 18 years and above, they can take the vaccine.
Sure. Okay. The question from President Ajay. The COVID vaccine has been developed in less than a year. Why has it been so difficult to make vaccine for HIV? It has been 30 years and there is no vaccine till date for HIV.
You are telling 30, I am telling 38 years for HIV. Yeah, that is mainly because that particular virus mutates with every generation. you must have heard that this COVID virus has also mutated, and there are mutated strains which are there in UK, in South Africa, and recently the mutation has been noticed in California. And fortunately for us, I think all these mutations so far, the antibodies which are developed by the vaccine, which are developed by all the companies, they can neutralize this mutated strain. So there is no need of fear. But if the mutation becomes continuous and becomes little more harsher, then maybe we will have to make a newer vaccine. But as on today, whatever mutation has occurred, these particular vaccines which have been developed, they can neutralize it. But in case of HIV, it mutates every generation. So the moment you make a vaccine, by that time, if the vaccine is ready, the strain has already gone at least 15 to 20 different mutations. So it doesn't work.
So the current vaccines are okay for the strain in UK and South Africa and all those places.
That's correct. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So there was a question, I think, so which you already answered from Firoz Master. But yeah, there is a question from Roma Dubey. How can we find out for which category of people is the vaccine not suitable? I think which you spoke briefly about it.
I think if there are some genetic disorders, or if the people who have got severe allergy and some of the cause of the allergy is not known, then those people are definitely should not take the vaccine. In fact, in our leaflet, we give the complete composition of the vaccine and ask the people to ensure that they are not allergic to those components. So the severe allergic patients, they should not take the vaccine.
Sure. Again, another question from Ajay Dubey. Will vaccine other than Covishield and Covishield be available in India?
Yes, it will be.
It will be.
In fact, I think I forgot to tell you, but the Serum Institute is actually working or was working on 5 different candidates.
Oh.
One of them was, of course, Oxford, which is the Covishield. One more is with Novavax. It is Covivac. We are working on a third vaccine, which is on the platform for hepatitis B. It is called HBD vaccine. It has already completed phase 1, phase 2 in Australia, and will be starting our phase 3 in India shortly. The fourth vaccine is a technology which we have got from US, that is a Podogenics, which is a live coronavirus, but attenuated one. So it will be vaccine something like measles. And the fifth vaccine is developed on our measles platform. So that will also be given, could be given by subcutaneous route as well as by the intranasal route, through the nasal cavity. So these vaccines are in different stages of clinical trial. And besides us, as I told you, other companies in India are also developing their products.
Sure. So different vaccines have different specification. Which one is the most suitable for diabetic senior citizen? Any specific?
I think every vaccine which is licensed as on today, whether it is Pfizer, Moderna, Serum Institute, or Bharat, or even Sputnik, they have been tried in the diabetic patients, and it's no contradiction for that. But unless the newer vaccines are developed, it is difficult to make any comment on that.
Yeah. Any tentative month by which Serum Institute is expected to get approval to sell commercially in the market?
So most probably, I think it could be in the March.
On the March.
Earliest
itself.
it is March, or latest it could be April. Yeah.
Okay. I think so you answered again one of the questions about the pregnant woman and newborn baby. I think so you are not advising them to take any, yeah. Same, any expectations on the trial for less than 18 years of age child?
So I think Pfizer has already started a clinical trial with their vaccine, which is the mRNA vaccine, in age group of 12 to 18.
Okay. Sure. So another question from Rakesh Bhargav. There is an apprehension that the vaccines have been developed with unprecedented haste and given emergency approval also in hurry. What communication strategy SII is planning to for the general public to remove the apprehension?
Yeah, I think strategy is planned, but I must tell you that it is not the first time that the vaccines have been developed in a shortest possible time. As I told you, example of Ebola. Okay, but before Ebola, even if you remember, we all should remember, in 2009 when the H1N1 came from Mexico, within 5 months, all multinational companies had a vaccine against H1N1. Okay, even 3 companies in India manufactured that product because the technology which is used to manufacture influenza vaccine is known technology and accepted by the regulators. And if you use a known technology and known platform for developing a vaccine, regulators believe in it because it has already worked on other vaccines from the same family. And because it was influenza, they gave the permission without any clinical trial. I'm not talking only the safety trial, but without any clinical trial, H1N1 vaccine was allowed to be used and used all over Europe and in United States. It was only in India when we developed the vaccine because we were developing it for the first time. We had to undergo phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and we took 1.5 years to license that product at that time. See, developing vaccine in a shortest possible time is not very difficult. These days, with the development of science and the reverse engineering, you can develop the product in fermenter in maybe 1 month, 1.5 months time, develop the analytical tools and start testing it. The real time takes is for the phase 3 clinical trial. Because in that, if the vaccine is to be used in infants, which is normally the case, because we don't usually develop vaccine for the adults. This is the first time this corona or influenza, which affects all the age groups, that's why the vaccine has been developed. But when you have to develop for, say, pneumococcal vaccine, first you have to do your test in the adults, then you have to come down to the adolescents, then you have to come down to the infants. And all these stages takes at least about 2 to 2.5 years each. And therefore, normal development period of the vaccine is almost about anything between 6 to 10 years or 12 years, depending upon the complexity of its composition, whether it is a single component vaccine or multi-component vaccine. Like pneumococcal vaccine, the polysaccharide vaccine which is available is a 23 valent. That means 23 different strains of pneumococcal vaccine has to be developed. They have to be stored, conjugated, and then mixed. And then you have to perform the tests. And then you have to do the clinical trial. And after clinical trial, when you take the blood samples, you have to again see that it is neutralizing all these 23 strains against which the vaccine has been manufactured. So it all depends upon the complexity of the vaccine. Therefore, it's not correct to say that it was developed in hurry. It was developed properly with science. Science is proven. And only latitude which was given by the regulators was doing few things simultaneously. So instead of waiting for the whole phase 1, they had given permission to start phase 1/phase 2. That means when you are starting your phase 1, you could start it by using different doses because phase 2 is only to determine the dose.
Sure. Another question was, can a COVID positive patient take a vaccine?
Yes. Yes.
It's not a problem. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. If somebody is on medication, then that compromise the immune system, should they take the vaccine?
I think that decision has to be taken by their physician who is administering the vaccine. Yeah, because we don't know exactly the immunocompromised state of that patient So his physician or clinician is in a better position to determine whether that person can take the vaccine or they have to stop that immunosuppressant or the drugs that he is taking for some time and then give him the vaccine.
Sure. Okay. Another question related. There is we are told that Sinopharma vaccine is under testing in UAE and Egypt for almost 7 months. If true, how could they develop the vaccine in 4 to 5 months?
I think that it's not correct on my part to say, but the hearsay is that the people in China, they knew somewhere in September or October itself that it's a different virus, and they started working on developing the vaccine at that time. Okay,
Sure.
so they could develop the vaccine by December. The vaccine was ready. As I said, developing vaccine is not very difficult part. Once you have a virus, then you can develop a vaccine. The maximum time is taken for the clinical trials.
Sure. Can a person with G6PD deficiency take vaccine?
I think in the clinical trials, such patients were not included.
Not included.
Yeah, but this question has come to almost all the manufacturers, and they have said that their clinician can take a decision, and those people who have taken the vaccine with the G6PD deficiency, they have not shown a aggravated response for the vaccine.
Sure. Okay. So then another question, specifically for nursing mothers, is it okay to take vaccine?
Yes, there is no restriction on that.
There's no restriction on that. Okay. Is the vaccine suitable for people on cancer treatment?
Yes. Yes. I know at least 3-4 cases where the people have undergone not only cancer treatment, but actual cancer operations.
Oh.
And they have taken the vaccine and there was no side effects. Yes.
Okay. So interesting question, like are you optimistic of Rotaries' involvement in vaccination drive?
Yes, I'm very optimistic because I think we work together not only for polio, but even for MR vaccine. Yeah.
Sure. The last question, I think so, is what care is needed to protect pregnant women from COVID-19? Any specific protection needed for, because they can't take the vaccine.
They can't take the vaccine. Yeah. See, unfortunately, I think this is the ethical issue that in clinical trials you cannot include the pregnant mothers.
Yeah.
So therefore, there is no data available with the manufacturers. So I think the best thing is that if they can delay the pregnancy, which is of course never planned, it happens. Yeah. But if you are pregnant, it is better to wait till you deliver and then take the vaccine.
Sure.
Because
I think so. Yeah. Last question, I think another question has come. If someone already has antibodies against COVID-19, can he take or should he avoid vaccine?
No, he can take the vaccine because I think you have asked this question that those who have suffered from COVID, that means they have developed the vaccine. Anybody who gets the COVID infection naturally will develop the vaccine. And the only thing that can happen is that your antibody titer will be boosted further than the normal case.
Sure, I think so. That's all.
It's not a contradiction. Yeah, you can take it. Yes.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Jadhav. I think so, Dr. Jadhav.
Jadhav, that was a great talk. It sort of clarified lots and lots of doubts, apprehensions, concerns people have, and it was really, really great hearing you. Now, can I request Vice President Uday to do the vote of please?
Yeah, I think thank you very much, Dr. Jadhav. I think the day we got to know that you will be there on the 23rd or Saturday 23rd, I think all the members were very excited. While we have been, watching, we have been seeing on the various media and getting this answer, but hearing from you is really very, very, probably we know now everything that what we are supposed to do, Thank you very much for coming to Rotary Club of Pune Center and giving us all the, probably I think members have got most of the answers which they wanted to. And we also joined your pray that maximum that 20 million which the SI has supplied and only 1.5 million have taken. We also join, all our members join your pray and wish that most of the what has been intended for, they all take the vaccine at the earliest, and they become safer. Not only they become safer, but also make the entire society safer. Thank you once again, Dr. Jadhav, for coming and giving us and enlightening us the complete about the COVID and pandemic and how it's going to go further. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. And it was pleasure, I think, talking to you people and answering to you.
Vimal, can you put up the thing? We would have loved for you to come in person and talk to us, and we would felicitate you. But this is electronic certificate of appreciation from our side, Dr. Jadhav. It was really, really great hearing from you. And
thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Jadhav. I think.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jadhav. Thank you.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you so much.